Dan. My name is Alison. I'm the Client Relations Manager here at ABS, and I'll be
Okay.
facilitating this meeting. All right, so are you ready for the first question?
Yes, I am.
All right. So my first question, when getting started, when you first thought about hiring virtual assistants from overseas, were there any concerns or doubts you had? How did we help you feel more confident about moving forward with our services?
Sure. Thank you, Allison. We've had some experience with workers from overseas, and so we had some ideas with how to approach it. I think one of the points that we were thinking about a little bit is the different time zones, a significant difference in time zone. And so Ascension Business Solutions helped us understand and navigate that initial thought. Another is potential like language or cultural barriers or just differences. And we're pretty happy or very happy with in terms of the experiences that people have not only in a different part of the world, but also some even have experience in the United States. And the point around the education for people, or the education that some of the virtual assistants have demonstrates that they're just aware of how things work outside of their own small community where they are.
All right, thank you so much for that. Now, regarding the onboarding experience, how did you feel about the onboarding process itself? Was there anything about it that stood out to you or made things easier?
Very much. It was in a positive way. There was more thought going into identifying what we were looking for in terms of the strengths of the person and the processes and activities we would have the person do, but also around our culture. And so what Ascension Business Solutions did, or I felt they did, was they took in points around, of course, the tasks and activities, what the strengths of the person needs to have, what are kind of the basic needs, the nice to haves, combined with what our culture's like, and then the presentation of the candidates was thoughtful. I could tell that we were heard in terms of what we were looking for, and so it made it quite easy to select someone to move forward with to get to know more. And also the point that people come, or this our first person came, and as we've hired others through this process, that they come already with knowledge and training about many of the systems we operate with, and sometimes even have a chance to shadow with another account that's run similar to ours. It helps us move that much faster in the onboarding process.
All right, that is so great to hear, Dan. It's really important for us that our clients feel heard and valued, especially in providing all types of virtual assistants. Now,
Mhm.
my next question, how have the reports we provide, like the end of day or end of week updates and the SOPs, made a difference for you? Have they helped with keeping things organized or improving workflows?
Yes, very much. The first end of day report, I almost had tears of joy when I read it because of how detailed and thoughtful and organized and clear it was. And I shared it along with some other people on our team and said, "Hey, look at this. Wow." And we found it helpful in terms of those end of day reports because there's right in home care, there's a lot of moving parts, and it really helps with handoffs and with knowing what who did what, but also helps identify, particularly during the first couple of months, around, hey, wow, we can help this person further train up on some things because they're right there with it. And so those end of day reports, quite a difference, and we still enjoy seeing those end of day reports. The operating procedures or the SBS, as our VA pointed out, is the great acronym for step-by-step process. And it's very good, very thoughtful. And I used it as an opportunity not only to see how what we train them on, or but how they think that they were trained on, where we can make some good adjustments just to help, so to be proactive in our own processes so things don't go days, weeks, months, and we're wondering why something might be slipping. Hey, we had an opportunity to see in detail the process, and also take it as an opportunity of, this is a process that we together have embraced.
All right, thank you. That was a great feedback, especially when you shared regarding the tears of joy on the end of the reports. We are really transparent with everything that we do, and we want to make sure everything is documented as well. So thank you for that. And now regarding work-life balance, we are also big on this one. So as much as we can with our regular working VAs, Mr. Gino would always make sure that we have this work-life balance. How about with you guys and your team? Have our virtual assistants made any changes in how you balance work and personal life? Or could you share an example where you felt like, you felt their support really made an impact?
Yes, we engaged with the ABS's after hours team, and we've found, now we're a couple months into that, but we've started to say, my goodness, they kind of got this. And so there's fewer evening or weekend calls to us, because most of the decisions we've trained and we've helped them. We have our local people, feet on the ground folks, who we've or like our care supervisors, who've mentioned that it's kind of a breath of fresh air. They don't feel like they need to be watching, even when they're not working, of what's going on, because they know that the ABS team has it covered. Um, as owners, I think, are reducing the risk of their own burnout to allow for some more, family time together without nearly as many interruptions as of what we've had in the past.
Well, Dan, regarding this one, before bringing in the VAs, what were the biggest challenges you faced in your business, or how have things improved since they joined your team?
Our team is operating a bit more proactively now, which is good, because more things are being caught during processes. So, and when running a business, if we're, like many in many business, if always running in reaction mode, it's hard to grow. And so with the VAs, it's helping us be, as a team, more proactive, because we're able to see how things work, not just reacting to circumstances that could be prevented. Another part is, there's times where our VAs say, you know what, we've been doing it this way. Maybe we should consider something different, or a modification to what we're doing, and that's helping with our growth too. And so that teamwork chemistry is kind of coming forward, where our VAs do feel like they can provide input to help us as an overall team, and we do very much think of them as part of our team, almost as if they're here, because they are. I mean, we have technology, Zoom, all of that.
Yeah, that is so nice to hear. We had some clients that, we don't blame them, but we did have some clients before that we would conduct check-in calls with our VAs and how's your client? Are they responsive? And most owners wouldn't get in touch with them, just their point of contact. So we don't blame them, but it's always nice to hear from you guys whenever you mention that they're part of our team, because even though they're our employees, it's important for us to see how they're doing with your team too. So That is great. Of course, teamwork is especially needed in able for this to work, right? So thank you for that. Now, how has it been working with the VAs in terms of communication? Do you feel like they've integrated well with your team or workflow?
Yes, very much. And we prioritize communication in our processes among our team. It's one of our core values is communication, and they embrace it very well. I mean, not just the end of day reports, but it's a heads up, those types of things that when people don't necessarily have to do something, but they have, I'm going to call it empathy in the process of how all the pieces fit together. That shows that they're thinking about not just their role, but the implications of their role, of how it affects others. And I think that that's a good mark of good teamwork.
All right. The big word empathy. I still remember. Actually, I just want to share with you that before I got promoted to this role, I was actually a senior team leader in
Hmm.
the scheduling department. So that's one thing that I always share with the new VAs. So while they're under training, we always tell them make sure you apply empathy when it comes to calling the clients and the caregivers. Make sure to always put yourself into their shoes because we don't want to make them feel like I don't care about your situation. Just let me do this job. Let's get this done. But we always need to make sure that they're okay. We still build communication or a relationship with each of them. So that's really great to hear again. So
Hmm.
what has your overall experience been like working with us so far? Or how do you see this partnership continuing in the future?
Sure. I mean, just for context, right? We started with one VA, added another VA for the daytime, so there's two in the daytime. And then within the last 2 months, we added dedicated after hours. I enjoy the point that Ascension is how focused it is around organizations such as ours in a way that I can ask a question around, hey, what are your ideas on this? What have you seen work well? And so it kind of comes with a little bit of from your leadership team, a little bit of additional advisory if we ask a question around some things that have worked well and that type of thing as we're all trying to navigate kind of the puzzle with how to put home care together in a impactful way. And I think we're getting there. And so that kind of advisory helps, particularly with the industry experience. And in terms of the partnership, there's some other parts that come with it that kind of like management or leadership advisory too, art of delegating or something like that, webinar. I think that that's spot on in terms of what some of us have some strengths in. Some of us are still kind of developing our space and delegating, but I could see that the partnership by saying not only do we know home care as in Ascension Business Solutions, not only do we know the home care space, the industry, but also we know a good reason why you should look at VAs. And we're going to tell you more about delegating. So, if you're pretty good at it, you can get better at it. If you're not so good at it, we're going to help you get there. So, functionally and industry wise, I can see this partnership taking off and helping with us.
That's so great to hear. I'm sure Miss Regina would really want to watch this recording once we're done.
I've asked her a few questions like, hey, what do you think about this? And I value her input and as others on your leadership team.
Oh, thank you, Dan. All right, so before we wrap things up, my last question would be would you recommend our services to other home care business owners? If yes, what would you tell them about how we've helped you and your team? So, if another home care business owner was on the fence about hiring VAs, what would you say to them?
I recommend other home care owners or agencies looking into VAs. And I understand sometimes different owners have different philosophies with how to operate. I think that it turns into the question around you don't know unless you start to explore it. So there is the path of not doing that at all, and that could be one model. There's a lot of work that needs to be done running a home care agency, and some of it is kind of feet on the ground work, and some of it is things that could be done anywhere. And think about what's possible with and so my recommendation for home care owners or business owners overall is look at the tasks and activities that are taking time and figure out what could be done, whether the owners need to do that or somebody else can do that, and what makes sense operationally given how you want to position in the marketplace.
All right. Thank you so much for that.